Introducing our breakfast sponsor today, Jennifer Titan. Did I say that right? Perry Homes in Oak Forest, who has brought us a beautiful breakfast and some fruit and coffee. And she's here to talk to us about Perry Homes in Oak Forest.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. If you have not put a business card in yet, I have two giveaways today. So try to make your cards over to the side. How many of you guys are familiar with Perry Homes? I always like to start out with a question that I get all hands up on. How many of you guys are familiar with Perry Homes in Oak Forest? Yay, okay, fantastic. So you're familiar. Perry Homes has come out with a new estate series. It is the brainchild of Mr. Perry's daughter. It is Perry like you've never seen it before. From an architectural style standpoint, it has all the same features that you're familiar with Perry. The open concept, the wall of windows, lots of natural light. The other thing that's really great about Perry is, they're very smart about their layouts, and so there's lots of storage space. They don't leave any space unused, so your secondary closets, walk-in closets are always plentiful. But the difference in this product is it is going to be similar to more of a custom home builder as far as the features inside. Site-built wood floors, exotic granites, executive chef kitchen, G monogram appliances, 48-inch ranges. Your built-in refrigerator is included, your beverage bar as well as that refrigerator is included. It's absolutely stunning, so I definitely encourage you to come out and take a look. We have quietly, we say quietly, it's pretty well known now, taken position in about 40 lots currently in Oak Forest. And we're actually looking for the buy side as well as the sell side of the transaction. So if you have clients that possibly need representation to sell their lot or their property in Oak Forest, please bring them to us. We actually love it when our realtors are on that side of the transaction and can help with that as well. We are actively inquiring.
Would they contact you?
Yes, please. And we'll make sure to get them over to the acquisitions department. So that's the estate series. If you notice on my flyer, I don't have pricing. It's a very volatile market, as you know, especially in Oak Forest. The resales have jumped about $50,000 in the last month, and that definitely impacts my pricing. So currently on the estate series, we're running about $820,000, but that's all out. That house is completely upgraded with everything you can possibly imagine. And so it's got the refrigerator and everything else. We're seeing a lot of senior executives coming in from Chevron that are building those particular floor plans and acquiring that inventory as well. Additionally, we have the Classic Series, which is what you guys are familiar with out in the suburbs. Pricing on that runs about $650,000. That market has been extremely active for the Heights buyers. We have a lot of families that are here in the Heights. They're looking for bigger yards, really good schools, because we have a lot of lots that are zoned to Oak Forest Elementary.
Is there any difference in the price between Oak Forest and Cedar?
Yes, typically the Oak Forest lots, because they have been in such high demand, are running with a premium of about $20,000 to $25,000. That can change any day, and also a little dependent on the lot size.
Right.
Our typical lot size is about 7,000 square feet, 60 foot wide by 120 deep. But as you guys know, some of these homes haven't been surveyed since the 40s. So that can adjust a little bit, but that's about the range of the lot size. For that Heights buyer, what it allows them to do is to get into a house in Oak Forest for about $650,000 and put in some of those custom upgrades later on, but get it a really good price point. So, and then we have a menu, upgrade what they need to upgrade right now and save the rest for later. So that's been a very popular market also. Do you guys have any questions or comments, or how many of you have been to the tour for the estate series? Any feedback or thoughts on what you saw? Or
Lovely house, and we discussed earlier what I would do. But yeah, I mean, it's a very nice house, nice addresses, you're still in that sort of transitional period of your spectacular house sitting next to something else. But yeah, I mean, Oak Forest is what the Heights was 15 years ago.
So they would go to the sales center at 962 Wakefield?
Yes, sir.
Selections are there, or yeah, you would go to, if you've got one under contract and you want to look at selections, where do you go?
You would actually go to the sales center there, and we have some inventory that's available to show. I do have some inventory that has BTSAs of $2,000 on them. It just depends on the length of time that they've been on the market, so.
And about what's your average build time from contract to?
Right now, I'm giving it 150 days from foundation pour. I know that seems really long, it's just permitting.
No.
Better than a year.
It's the opposite.
Perry, a lot of times will build in 120 days, but I want to put an extra month in there for permitting. Some of those things we're kind of at the mercy of others, so.
Very good.
Fantastic. Thank you for the
Any other
opportunity.
questions?
I appreciate
Drawing?
it.
Everyone put their little card in the drawing?
Okay, and just so you guys know, I don't stalk you. What I try to do with my email blasts, whenever I send them in or send them out, I send inventory, but I also try to give you a little tidbit for your blog or postings that you can put out there for clients. So it's always benefit added. So take a look. Let me know if you like it. If not, I can remove you from the list as well. So I'm going to let you draw so I don't get in trouble.
Oh, yes.
And I wear my glasses, so. Oh, you can borrow mine.
Who's that?
Jim?
Jim Ford.
And one more.
Turn the bar lights off.
Kenny? What did they win?
A $25 gift card from American Express, so I'm like, how much do
Thank you.
Thank you, congratulations.
Thank you for the breakfast, coffee, really appreciate it.
You always live with it.
Yeah.
Okay. If you missed our previous 2 weeks of training, we had an exceptional time, I thought, going over inspections, inspection reports, repairs. We spent about 3.5 hours on that endeavor. We had a little slide presentation from Northern Fox on stucco that I thought was a good deal. Fortunately, we didn't have them videoed at that time, but now we're going to do so in the future. Last week was exceptional also on surveys, elevation certificates, flood information. We got an hour of MCE from Leash there, so that was, we're going to try and do that thing again. It'd be ideal if we could get someone to come give us an hour or 2 of MCE while we're doing our training, but we're going to try and do some of those intense deals here the rest of the year, tied into our normal sales meetings. So today we don't have anything that intense. We do have some information to go over. Jerry? Have a seat. I want to start with the government shutdown. I don't know if we're still shut down right at the moment.
We are.
I'm assuming that we are. Impact to the real estate community is not going to be immediate. It's not like anyone's, it's not immediate. The areas that I think, if we have a prolonged shutdown, we probably will be resolved at any time. The areas that's going to most impact this immediately is if you have anyone with an SBA loan. Cynthia's client just closed on Bob and Karen's house to an SBA loan. Jan Clark has Ken Newberry's item on 19th Street. Those are SBA loans. Those have the most significant impact immediately. Okay? So if you are working with the transaction and there's an SBA loan, we don't have that many of them in our world, I think there's an immediate impact. Through the FHA, if you're going to have an FHA loan, there's going to be a problem getting a new case number if you don't already have a case number. They're losing about 68 employees today, which input the information for these case deals. If you already have a case number, there should be no real immediate problem moving forward with your FHA loan, but those 2 items are immediate if we don't have some resolution soon. Of course, in the long run, there's going to be an impact if we have the government shutdown. It will impact interest rates and all kinds of other things. But I think these could be a blip and it could move on. But I just wanted to mention, and I'll mention back against Jan, the SBA situation is going to be a problem if we're in some prolonged shutdown for something. It's definitely going to impact that. But other than that, a lot of it is psychological and a lot of it is
VA loans also.
VA loans, we don't do a lot of VA loans, but yeah, VA loans, they all can be impacted a little bit. these are all government agencies that are backing these loans, but they'll find a way, I think, to try and keep the world moving. But definitely FHA, VA, and SBA loans are immediately impacted
What
by
about
the
flood
shutdown.
insurance?
What that? Flood insurance was fully funded. I don't see a problem. It's a separate entity now. It's fully funded. I don't think there's going to be an issue of it not being enough people to continue the program. So I think it's going to be fine. We're going to have a wide variety of little topics here today. So let's go to the calendar for a moment, because we're now to the fourth quarter, and it's going to get much busier in our lives. We're going to try and do a better job, Eric, of updating all the stuff on Back Agent, some of which might even just be my own little things so that you kind of know what's going on in our life over there. But definitely we're having a meeting today. We won't have a meeting next week. I'll be in New York next Tuesday through Saturday, whatever. I'll be available. You can text or call. It's not that significant what I'm doing there in New York or whatever. We do have on this Sunday the bike rally for the Heights Association. It starts at 8 o'clock. You can leave Marmion Park until 1 o'clock on the bike ride or whatever. There's a 5-mile ride for kids, or if you want to do, tied to a scavenger hunt. And then there's a 25-mile ride. 20 mile. We are a sponsor of that event or whatever. I have 8 more additional free entries to the bicycle rally if you're so interested. I have, okay, I have plenty. Very, very good. Here's little water bottles over here. You can have them, they're free. Got 3 more of these entries if someone's interested or whatever. It doesn't shut down the boulevard or anything of that nature. It ends around 4 o'clock, and theoretically it ends at 4 o'clock because they start a happy hour where there's St. Arnold's Brewery and a number of other things going on over there for those that participated and those that did not. Since it's the dry area and you can't sell alcohol, you can't get alcohol, an event that you paid for, the event ends, and then there's a community-wide social hour where there is free alcohol. So that's how
And
that
there were
works.
prizes and.
There's all kinds of stuff over there.
It's at your own pace.
Yes,
No,
totally.
it's not a race to see who finishes first, it's just, I think that you have to find X number of, points, clues, points, places where else along the route.
Just
and come
something
back and
fun.
turn that in, yeah.
There will be about 900 people that participate. About 500 of them will be kids, and so the others are the adults tied to the kids.
You mean kids like me?
Yeah. It's a fun event in the
Will it
neighborhood.
affect Millwood Park at all?
Pardon me?
Does it affect
It's
Millwood
closed
Park
down for the day for that event,
this Sunday?
this Sunday. No, not Milroy is at 12, no, I'm sorry, just Marmion. No, it doesn't impact that.
It won't
It
affect
doesn't
it.
impact Milroy at all, just Marmion, sorry. So that is this Sunday. The following weekend, we are a sponsor again of the Bayou City Art Festival. I'm sure fairly soon they'll be dropping off some sort of tickets and parking passes and things. We'll have to think about that.
I got them yesterday.
You got them, perfect. We will have a booth where we will allow realtors to sign up for, and you're just like you're at floor time at the Bayou City Art Festival. Take whatever things that you want. You can take gracias with your sticker on it, fans with your sticker on it, bottled waters, your information, print out your bio. This is your opportunity to sit there if you want and try and visit with clients who might be in the market for a home somewhere in the city. We are the sponsor of the hospitality suite, so our banners up there, that sort of thing. That's for the workers. They go and sit and relax and have a drink or rest or whatever. So there's the hospitality area, which shouldn't be confused with our booth, which is in the middle of the park somewhere.
And this year they're doing, which is really great, we're having live music on the stage. There'll be 5 artists each day performing, and so it's just an added feature. If you have clients who are new to Houston or moving in or something, it's a great way to introduce them to this. Still just $15 for adults and less for kids, and 3 and under are free.
And this is downtown.
This one is downtown.
This one's downtown.
Easier parking.
Not to be confused with the spring, this is in the Memorial Park.
Right.
So Julie will be the contact person for
Next
signing
weekend.
up for that.
Next weekend?
It's the 12th and 13th.
12 and 13. Joe and I will also be hosting an art event on that Sunday or whatever. We'll send out a little evite. If you want to invite your clients to my house to an art opening, there'll be champagne and appetizers. It's very casual. I'm sure I'll be in shorts. And it's just an event we're
Unless
hosting
fall
at our
shows
house.
up.
Pardon?
Unless fall shows up.
Unless fall shows up, we'll be in sweaters. It's for Ed Alba. We've had him before at our house. We have little pieces of art in our house there. But it's a totally free kind of thing event just to showcase an artist in the house. The following week, I am going to Mexico for the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. I'm not sure what my cell phone service is. We're going to a friend's 40th birthday party, and it's in rural Mexico. I'm hoping there's some sort of cell service over there, but it could be somewhat limited wherever it is that I'm going. I'm not real sure where I'm going. You fly to Cancun, and the driver picks you up and drives you for an hour.
Yeah, it's called a satellite telephone.
I think it's north of there, another 30 minutes.
Alcohol?
I have no idea where I'm going.
You won't get yourself.
I'm just told to go, so I'm going. We have now, the bowling date is going to be Wednesday, October 23rd, and this will all be on Back Agent. It is at 5:30 to 8. This is definitely just an event for you and your significant other and your children. You're all invited. There's food, there's alcohol, there's fun, we pay for it all. This will be at Lucky Stripes downtown or whatever. It's just a bonding experience. So invite the kids, invite the boyfriend, the girlfriend, mistress, whoever you want. Feel free to invite them.
What was the hours, 5:30?
It's 5:30 to 8. And really, we have to pay till 8:30. So if I just tell you guys 8, we'll be gone by 9:30. We thought we'd start at 5:30 so that the kids could get there and do homework before, I'm sure, and then go right on to bowling. The following day is our movie premiere at 14 Q's. We really will have an invitation for these events shortly or whatever. This is where we're sponsoring No More Honey. I think this is a tied to the bees and my environmental, eco-friendly sort of passion that I'm into at the moment or whatever. We'll have information shortly. This is designed for you to invite your clients to a world premiere movie event at 14 Q's. What time does that start? Do you have any idea?
7.
Yeah, I think 6:30 probably is where we could arrive, whatever, the movie will start sometime. Then they will release this movie where people can go pay for it later, whatever. This is Boulevard Realty sponsoring a world premiere of a movie at 14 Q's, which is on Aurora, which is about 25th, 26th Street over here off of North Main. It's designed for you to invite your clients. So,
Give us what date again on that?
that is the 24th.
There will be no eco-friendly junk food?
No, because there won't be.
Movie food?
Movie food. The following Saturday, I'm moderately busy, just so you know. I'm hosting a tour of my backyard for a couple thousand of my closest friends, dealing with the chicken coop and the bees and the composting and all that sort of stuff in my backyard during the day. And then I'm hosting a gala that evening at the Hilton Americas. So I'm a little busy on the 26th. I won't be answering my phone a lot. I'm going to leave a message. I'm sorry I missed your call. I'm happy to return your call the following day. But I'm moderately busy Saturday night hosting the governor of Maryland. The following Wednesday is the grand opening of our Kirby store. That's October 30th. We're going to start at 4 p.m. So we have the people from HAR and some other realtor friends coming in the beginning or whatever. It will last from 4 to 7. We'll have Halloween with trick-or-treating here the following day. We need someone to sign up. I think Kenny's mentioned he might want to do it. She often does it if she's in town. But we'll provide all the food, all the alcohol, all the candy if whoever wants to stay here and pass out for trick-or-treaters on Halloween. Plenty of activities going on in November and December also. I don't necessarily need to go over all of them today, but we're going to try and put them on Back Agent. We did have the company Christmas party is already planned for December 13th, Friday, December 13th. We'll put it up there. Okay. Any comments on the calendar? A little busy October. I wanted to just go over, we haven't really talked about this topic in a while lately, and it's going to become more prevalent. I want to make sure that I'm clear about, I'm not going out there spreading any rumors about any real estate firm. Okay, this is my disclaimer in the beginning. But I need to explain to you, just so you know, because we rarely talk about this because we're just our little independent person. But you're going to start seeing this stuff right here. Here's Realtor Magazine, and here's Berkshire Hathaway's Home Source right here, which is Warren Buffett, second wealthiest person in America here, out here trying to get into the real estate world. She's definitely in the real estate world. Berkshire Hathaway owns what is Real Living, which is like the Beth Wolf is a franchise of Real Living. They acquired all of Prudential, and they've taken those and they're creating this purple sign of Home Source over here.
Are you taking Gary Green also?
No, we're going to talk about that in a second. They own Prudential and they own Real Living. And you will see most Prudential firms are converting over to Home Source over here. Berkshire Hathaway Home Source or whatever. The indication is that at some point this Prudential Anderson will switch to Home Source. One more time they'll have some name change. I don't know when. I don't have any idea when. I know they've already lost some agents because they just can't handle one more name change, but I'm not going to get into that deal. I just want you to be aware of who Home Source is because they're going to make a big play in Houston, Texas. I mean, it's a huge market that's thriving, and they're going to go over there, and you need to understand who they are. Berkshire Hathaway owns Real Living, and they own Home Source, which are general franchises tied to Prudential. They own Prudential. There will be no more Prudential at some point. You will not be able to use the name Prudential at some point when your franchise agreement ends. You must either become Home Source or Real Living. You have no other choice there. As opposed to Reality, which is the world's largest real estate firm that owns Better Homes and Gardens, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, ERA, Sotheby's, Corcoran in the upstates, Cardis, and a number of other things, right? Reality owns that whole group, and they franchise out into Better Homes and Gardens, Century 21, Sotheby's, Coldwell Banker. Those are all owned by Reality, which leaves the rest of us, which are truly little independents. So Martha Turner, Greenwood King, Boulevard Realty, Bernstein are independents. Beth Wolf is a franchise of Real Living. Now, all the others are franchises. Even Richard Smith, that owns that Coldwell Banker, is a franchisee of Reality, which is based out of New Jersey there. So I just wanted you to know, I don't think it makes any difference to us one way or the other. There's an advantage to being part of a franchise. There's an advantage to being independent or whatever. We're just independent. I just wanted to explain to you when you start seeing these purple signs pop up so that you could explain it to your clients who they are. That one?
So this is becoming like the banking industry where...
the big guys to compete nationwide, that's what they do. I mean, they're absorbing all the other companies. They're feeding the people relocation business. They're charging them 42% and a 6% franchise fee, and then a transaction fee, and then a marketing fee in order to equalize the world. That's what they're doing.
And where is RE/MAX in here?
RE/MAX is having a nationwide IPO this week. It's going to be the largest real estate IPO that's been put out. There's a stock offering, whatever. They're their own entity at the moment, but they are becoming a public company this week. It's probably today, actually. Good question.
Bill, I received this in my mail, and it's a girl from Kimber Williams who's offering 2%.
2%. There's always someone that'll do it for cheaper.
And leasing cheaper too. So
Sure that Jennifer, who has a lot of experience, I'm sure, and who does not, there's always someone that'll discount. There's a discount brain surgeon, divorce lawyer, and auto mechanic. And I think that's the way, there's always going to be a discount person out there. We found that we cannot offer the level of service by discounting below 3%. We'd like it to be higher than that. In order for us to maintain our presence, our level of marketing skills, facilities, and exposure into the marketplace, it takes a certain amount of collectiveness for us to sell $1 million house and a $100,000 house. The reason we get to sell the $1 million house is because we have a lot of $100,000 listings. We don't make as much money on the $100,000 listings, but because we have a bunch of listings, we can get the $1 million listing. And they equalize one another out. It's why you have the House of Representatives. Wyoming only has 2 votes, and Texas has 31, but they balance out what is called the nation of America. And the same thing applies to the sale and listing of real estate or whatever. You must have a certain amount of volume and a certain amount of money to provide a certain level of service. There's discounted people who will offer a discounted level of service and experience. I'm
So
sure
do we
that,
need to watch with like that, with like her, what we make?
no, I think we need to be cognizant that when the economy is stronger and houses sell faster, that the discount people, that is the only advantage that they're going to have, and they're going to offer, you know, how the consumer is going to assume that selling houses is easy, so it should be cheaper to list them because they're going to sell anyway. I mean, that's a perception that we have to go battle over there. And what we're having to explain to the people is that, you know, putting your house on the MLS is the easiest thing. Yeah, I mean, you pay $500 and get someone to do that. Seeing the transaction through the inspections, through the appraisal, through the insurance, reducing the liability after the sale. It's about these surveys and things we're talking about. You don't want a seller to give someone a survey and the next door neighbor get one 2 months later and be able to sue our ex-seller because he implied the line was here and there's no defensive coverage of where that line is if the buyer didn't take the survey. This is what we're doing, is reducing the liability for a seller later and ensuring their transaction is fluid and that we're giving a wide range of experiences to the seller and to the buyer, whatever. It's the service after the sale. It's the information that we provide a year and 2 years later that's worth something also, where the 2% and 1% person's probably not going to be here. Where's your office? Where's it been? And where's it going to be next month?
She also says, if you read it, in most circumstances, for 2%.
Yeah, you never know.
So you never know.
I want to go over another item here to pass out these deals that we haven't talked about in a while because it's catching us. I mean, we talked about it. I just passed them all out. This is stemming from in the contract when we're negotiating repairs or initially putting repairs into the contract. So Eric's passing out a number of pages for our reference. When you go to a house and it says front door being replaced on order, seller will repair the front door, replace the front door prior to closing, and you go and you write it into your contract under 7D1, because they've made it clear on the MLS they're going to do it, seller to replace front door prior to closing. Pretend that's a normal transaction. Normally you would write it into that section. It's something that, as a condition of the sale, you know that this thing's on order and that they're going to do it. Okay? So that's an area where you might have a repair written into the contract initially. Okay? When you make your, you know, once you get under contract. We're definitely finding that the lenders want the proof of this repair well in advance of closing. Okay? A typical deal would be that you would need to take a photo of the new door or provide the invoice for the new door and provide it to the underwriter before they'll kick out the papers to the title company. So you have these items that are written into a contract in 7D here, and they're catching us in almost every instance now that we need to prove that the work was done well in advance. Okay? We're not used to doing it well in advance. We're used to doing it the day before closing, or it's not quite here yet, and we got to closing, and it's still on back order or whatever, and we got the problem that the mortgage company is requiring the proof of this prior to releasing the documents to the title company. It's a significant problem.
Well in advance means 10 days, well in
Yeah.
advance means by the time the appraisal takes place, right after the option period,
Well in advance, I think it's 10 days prior to closing. I think that would be a lovely time, 7 maybe. I mean, before we're getting these documents, I think 10 days prior to closing is a lovely time to have this done. If we know it's not going to be done, then we need to figure out a way to take it off of this section so that the lender doesn't see it anymore and put it to something else. And this is a fine line in how real estate works, but it works this way all the time, and so you have to be clear how it works. If it's in the contract, the lender has the right to require that it be repaired prior to closing and prior to the documents going up to the title company. Here's another example we provided where they wrote into special provisions here that we had noted we're going to exclude the draperies and the listing. And so they want to fill and repaint the living room wall after removal of the drapes and dowels supporting the drapes. It's a normal thing to put in special provisions. Fine to put it there. But you got to remember, the lender is requiring the proof that this is done before they're over there going to release the documents. So my guy's got to take down the stuff, get it painted, patched, and take the 9 photographs and send it to the lender before they'll release the documents over here to the title company. And if we don't do it till 2 days before closing, it's a hell of a lot of stress, because now we didn't get the documents the day before closing. We didn't get them till the hour after we already had the scheduled time because of this lender required repair. Very typical these days for these sort of things to catch us. So you need to know up front when you're writing it, and it's usually not us, it's usually the other side, you know, who's writing it in there, and I understand why they want to write it in there. Then you must explain to your client, if you represent the seller, that this is going to have to be completed well in advance of the closing, and the proof that it's been done provided to the lender well in advance of closing. A photograph, a receipt, an inspection, a letter, or a sign off by the buyer, or something that it's been done.
Did you take this offer like that?
Pardon me?
Did you take the
I
offer
did.
like that?
I did. We did. We had. It was over the asking price again, you know. So we're in this $15,000-$20,000 over the asking price. Multiple offers again. This was Jennifer Hernandez was the lender of this one, which I felt more secure that the deal was going to work. Agent was kind of bitchy. Buyer was kind of bitchy, but it was still, and for our clients, it was the best deal versus some that weren't like that. These are 2 different offers for the same house or whatever. So I took the one where we painted and patched the deal and did this one. All right. Now, of course, we get into the issue with the normal amendment and then the repairs. Okay. So now, as these agents are sending this up to the lender's seeing these repairs. 2 issues that we're facing. One, when we're saying $6,500 in lieu of repairs, ding, 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 lender says, what the hell repairs are going on over here that aren't being replaced? I mean, what is this a leaky roof? Is this a water heater that's overflowed, or what is it? Those sort of things are catching us more and more frequently, that the lenders they want to know what the hell the repairs are. So, we need to, you know, perhaps the solution is not saying, either don't give it to the lender like that, and just make it true closing cost or whatever. Don't reference anything going to the lender that's talking about any repairs at all. We know in lieu of repairs, we're giving you these closing costs, but we're only giving to the lender the closing cost information. Okay?
You don't trust the
6,000.
email inside, you're smart enough not to send it to them.
I don't anymore, because they get all nitpicky about it. They're required by law to do it, and they're really not required by law to do it. But I can't get in an argument with someone that I have very little control over once we're already under contract. You know. So, but it's certainly becoming an issue in lieu of repairs scenario. And then, if you have this amendment and it's gone to the lender wants proof that all these repairs have been done. They want the invoices, they want photographs, they want proof that the stuff is done well in advance of closing. Okay? Issues like cutting the tree down beside the foundation when the seller doesn't really want to cut the tree down because they're scared to death that the tree's going to fall on their house, and they want it to fall on the new owner's house, not their house or whatever. We're always in this fight of when do you do that deal. My clients didn't want to cut the trees at 1302 Curtin, but the buyers were hell bent on having the trees cut prior to closing, and you're in this catch-22 when you're in the middle of the negotiations and how this is going to work, whatever. But you got to kind of think it through there. But it's going to delay some of these closings, and it's going to cause stress when these repairs aren't completed well in advance there. Okay. And then we've got these issues with the next to last page of the contract. When we check all these little things, the lenders are constantly wanting to reference what these things are. So if you put TAR 2501 or TAR 1406 or HAR 1901, the lender wants to know what the hell those are, and then they have to provide copies of them to the lender if you put them on there. I understand why the old biddies want to reference everything. It's perfectly legal to put it in there, but you need to be aware of where we're getting. Brandon has a deal where they check the environmental deal. lender from Oklahoma is requiring the dam environmental inspection. For what? What are we inspecting over here? Red-headed woodpeckers or lizards or the prairie chicken? I mean, there's nothing going on in a townhouse in Montrose for this environmental, but because they checked the box, the lender's requiring the proof of the environmental inspection. Okay? It's a common lender issue, especially as the economy rears up again. You're going to have lenders out of everyone's back seat again all across America. Everyone's going to want to be in the lender game. And they're going to have all these specific deals. You just need to be aware that when they're on there, they certainly have the propensity to ask for the information, and we need to have some defense as to what to provide for them. These northern lenders, these relocation companies, are always into requiring a radon inspection.
Yes.
And we don't have any radon in Houston, Texas, whatever, and it's the classic deal of, I'd be happy to have your client do a radon inspection, but what the hell are we going to inspect over there? There's no radon to inspect, but you're going to have to communicate with the people, and I'm happy to help you in that instance.
So about the addenda, I received a contract on my listing that the other agent, she only sent the contract, only the 9 pages to the title company.
Lovely.
Do you send your addenda to the
I do
title
not.
company? You do not?
I do not.
I do not.
That's between the buyer and the seller to ensure. Now, if we're paying $6,500 in lieu of repairs on the amendment, yes, the
No,
title company
I
can set
mean,
up. But
you
if
know,
just the
the-
repairs,
yeah.
I do not. I do not want the title company nor the lender to get involved.
No,
want
no,
the
I
buyer
mean
and
like the
seller.
third-party financing, the lead addendum, those kind of things. The
Yes,
things
yes,
that-
yes, those other
That's
addendums.
what I'm talking about, not the,
Not the
you know,
total
negotiation
Yeah.
type things.
Separate amendments, I don't send to the title company unless it has to do with some sort of credit on the closing statements, okay?
Right, you're
But
talking about
The
amendments, I'm talking
normal
about that
addenda,
other
yes.
stuff,
Do
yeah.
I send them to the title company?
That's
Sure.
just part of the package, okay.
No issue sending those things to the title company. No issue.
Who would do the environmental assessment?
Pardon me?
Where do you find someone to do the environmental assessment?
Well, if you're in Galveston in the Tidewater and you might want to do something, I mean, it's very common in Galveston, it's very common in rural property if you're selling 72 acres in Seguin or whatever, and you're worried that there might be, the Washateria. We just closed the Durst house at 2310 Rutland or whatever, and so we might want to check for gas stations. That was a dry cleaner. It could be a phase 1, a phase 2. They might want to. The fire station, they just required an asbestos. The city, Kirby, they required an asbestos inspection prior to offering the permit or whatever. So if you're selling something that's a little odd and you're concerned about some environmental issue, dirt, all the time along Yale, if you're selling dirt, there might have been something. This property had
An underground
service
tank.
center deal, yeah, in the 40s or whatever, and we had to do all kinds of environmental deals. Really, when we figured it out, that was on what is 16th Street now. It wasn't on this property. But if you're selling something odd, you might bring it up to me and see where it might be commonplace. But it's not that common to do the environmental stuff.
You have to find an inspector. I think that was the question.
Oh,
Well,
they're out there.
But
There's
yeah.
plenty of them out there. Just like the mold inspectors, there's plenty of them out
Yeah,
there
okay.
that focus on that sort of thing. I mention this because it's coming up more and more, and it's generally coming up the day before closing. You know, and you're wondering where are the documents, where are the documents, where are the documents for us to review, and they're not releasing the documents because we don't have the invoices, and we don't have the invoices because we really haven't done the work yet. And so it's creating this phenomenon that we're having to do the repairs quicker as opposed to later. We're coming from a background that we're risk averse because these mortgages didn't work, and so we didn't ever want to do the repairs until the day before closing. In the event that it didn't work for some reason, we've got a whole list of repairs for client A. The day before closing it doesn't work, and now we got to go to another whole list for client B over here. It's pretty frustrating if you're the seller. Of course, remember what I've always said, if you're the seller, you just want to get money. Don't do any repairs. But people in these bidding wars, and they're overpaying, and they're paying 101% of the price, they're going to require these repairs. They're going to require that they be done prior to closure. And they don't want to, they don't want to be in a bidding war, overpay, and still not get something. So I mean, there's a fine line of where that's going. Hadn't talked about all this in a while. So, Any questions about lender required repairs in general, invoices, how the lingo works? Remember, it's the licensed roofer that gets this when there is no license for a roofer. How are we going to do that sort of thing? These lenders are requiring this. What we find all the time, the lenders are requiring the certificate of occupancy for a normal residence or whatever. And while there is no particular certificate of occupancy today for a normal house in the city of Houston, if there's been a repair, there is a permit and a certificate of completion of these deals that can be had. So if you're having new construction, I would require the certificate.
What if it's, something that can't be done or is to be done when they leave? Like, in other words,
Separate amendment.
they replace it in the backyard, if my clients don't want it left because it's gonna be a pain behind them, but they want to make sure they take that with them. Or do something.
I'd have a separate amendment that's between the buyer and seller that you wouldn't give to the lender. Take it off the special provision, put it on a separate amendment, and it's an agreement between the buyer and the seller. The lender doesn't have to see it.
This amendment?
Yes, that amendment is fine.
Okay,
The amendment is fine, you just don't give the amendment
okay.
back to them. I mean, so there's temporary lease or whatever, you can just give the amendment. Yes?
What about this one?
The non-realty addendum, the reason I put it there, because when you get, and that said NA, and I say zero, they say $1, we haven't talked about this one in a while either. If it's a normal refrigerator, washer, dryer, the wine chiller that's in there, the zero, the NA, the $1 sort of thing is working fine. Where the non-realty addendum is giving us is, patio furniture, all the furniture in the guest apartment, 2 pianos, the couch, and the playset. And it's a lot of stuff now. And the lender is saying, well, we don't want the value of that. What happens is, let's say it's $10,000 worth of stuff, selling a $300,000 house. What can happen is the appraiser, if he sees it's only going to value the house at $290,000 without the $10,000 worth of stuff, and someone's got to pay the $10,000 at closing. So I'm still hesitant to send non-realty addendums to lenders and appraisers and title companies that are in excess of what I basically gave you, which is the refrigerator, washer, dryer, and the wine chiller that was built in anyway. When you start having too much odd beyond that, I think it ought to be handled outside of closing. Just like you negotiate a house, the people decide they want to buy the other people's bedspread for $50. Just make it separate. They don't have to involve the lender, the realtors, or the title company for those sort of things. And as a condition of the contract of selling their house for $300,000, the buyer and seller can agree that along with that will convey all the pool equipment, the patio equipment, and the mower, and the edger, and the blower, and all that sort of stuff, because your clients don't want to move it to Australia. It's perfectly legal to do it, but it's just handled outside of closing. Then the appraiser appraises the house, not subject to any of those sort of things, because the lender doesn't want to create a lien on the mower and the blower and patio furniture, because it's not a normal lien deal. See how that works?
How do you go about doing that?
Same non-realty addendum,
You just don't send it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can have there is a long list of items, and they're paying $500 for it or whatever. I mean, the lender can still require, give me the check, show me the canceled check, show me that you really bought it, sort of thing. It's best not to get the lender too involved with those sort of things that can be normally handled outside of closing. They don't affect the loan value, the loan to value ratio, any of the issues related to the mortgage of the house.
And what were you saying about the closing costs, how you can use that as a negotiating tool?
Yeah, on the amendment, in lieu of repairs, you could agree to come up with $6,000 for repairs. And instead of doing the repairs, you're going to give $6,000. And the easiest place to put that is to apply it to closing costs. And that's perfectly fine. And so you can create the little amendment right here. And so the amount in 12A, number 4, has been changed to $6,500. That's perfect. Okay? What gets us is that when we write down in, other modifications, in lieu of repairs, seller to credit, buyer $6,500 of their closing costs at closing, or whatever. It's that lenders checking this little lingo and it's flagging the underwriting. They're saying, what are the repairs? show me again what it is that you agreed to give up $6,500 for, because I'm loaning money, and you're telling me there's repairs worth $6,500 that I'm now gonna be the mortgagee on, and I wanna know what it is I'm getting myself into. Show me what the repairs were. And then they're gonna say, oh, no, we don't want a credit, we want you to fix these things. If I'm gonna loan you $500,000, I want the roof fixed prior to closing, I don't want you to have $6,500. See what we're saying?
Yeah.
And so it's the lingo of how it's working. The paragraph is fine. How do we protect the seller that we're representing that's agreed to give the $6,500 in lieu of repairs? We typically would have just said, we've got to find a way not to show in lieu of repairs over to the lender. Okay? It can get tricky. Lenders make it a little tricky over here. Cash, we don't have any of these issues. Any other questions or comments about that? No? Anything going on we need to talk about? Sales in September were exceptional again. And I think you're going to see it. I'm always surprised that headlines keep showing up to talk about this, the slowdown of real estate. And it's talking about the rate of appreciation may not be quite as great as the rate of appreciation the month before. I don't grasp it though. When it talked about these sales right here for the previous month, literally, other than the market less than $80,000, had significant increases in everything. The market at $500,000 and greater was up 50.1% over the year before, same month sales. The amount of inventory was down. The days on the market was down. The number of pending sales was up. There was no indicator that indicated in Houston, Texas, it was any different than the month before. But the headline is that it's less frantic. It's not less frantic. I don't think that's true at all. So,
How's it compared to the, before the recession?
well, yeah, we're back to the 2006-07 levels of where we're at. So this firm, last month, September, just ended yesterday, we did $15,591,000 the month of September. Last September, which was the very best month in the history of the company, the very best year, we only did $9 million last year. We were up 75% this September over the previous September. The quarter was up over the previous quarter, which was up over the quarter a year ago. The amount of sales are up. I mean, we've exceeded almost what we did all of last year through September. But I mention that only because I'm trying to tell you, last year we did $9 million in September, but we did $14 million in October, and $13 million in November, and $15 million in December, because I'm trying to tell you the next 3 months are busier than what have typically been the 3 previous months. Our slower months for the houses that we sell tend to be July, August, and September. Hot as hell, we're not tied to the school years, we're tied to oil and gas, tied to lawyers, we're tied to the fall weather, these activities in inner city living, and so I think it will just get better for the months of October, November, December. You've got to prepare yourself for those sort of things and to get busy or whatever. But you know, the firm is doing well, the individuals are doing well. We're going to talk about this again later in the month or whatever, but there's amazing things going on. But it will just get busier for the months of October, November, and December. So you just have to stay informed, you know, but if you represent the buyer and the seller. I think we're going to see more inventory. I think people have been, the Perry Homes of the world are hesitant to put those houses on the market because they don't want to sell them for $820 if they can sell them for $850. And if they're not going to be ready till November 1, why put it on in September anyway? But we've been in 18, 19 pretty strong months of construction. There's going to be plenty of new construction coming online in October, November, and December, I think. Because there won't be any incentive to put it on in January.
What about your houses?
My houses, we're fixing to put them on. We're fixing to put them on. We're going to put the signs up this week, and we're going to put them all on by October 15th. We're going to put the 3 West Jews, Shannon, all the next round of those houses. We're going to put them all on. Just because because it's probably time. I want to capture a buyer in October and close in November, December. So, yeah, we have, and I was really waiting for the Westview office. You know, I want to plaster that office with those for sale signs of those properties over on that side of town. So, we're going to put them all up.
Any national night out activities and?
Yeah, we have, ours is tonight.
Ours is tonight.
Ours is tonight.
So it's tonight.
Yeah, thank you, I had that on the list. Right. Yes, I don't know that much about it. Our little group did it again last year or whatever, so on Morrison and Dalen, we all get together tonight. But there is no real, because Texas participates in the non-national night out time or whatever, it's a little odd or whatever. How much was it, Brandon? $1,046,000 in Oak Forest. That was in Gardner.
Oak Forest is getting over $1 million, they've listed
Yeah.
several of them, and there'll be a lot more. So those 820s for Perry Homes will be a hell of a deal.
Yeah. And the
They're
long-
big. They are, they're very big, there are a lot of great builders over there, and some of them have been supporting the security patrol and other things. We had a great meeting with realtors and builders in there. So, I mean, there's a lot of great opportunities over in that neighborhood.
When do you think the businesses are gonna change in Oak Forest? That's
Yeah,
what's
they
going
are.
in Oak Forest.
No, I think it's
They
starting.
are.
I think it just
They
was
absolutely
time for
are.
recession.
Yeah.
So
Lance Fagan has opened up a restaurant there, it's right
Yeah.
behind that El Rey.
Getting a new Berry Hill.
You get a new Berry Hill, which is owned by the Blairs, and own the one here. You've got Plum, you've got Randy Betters,
Yeah, Cowboy
Crowbar.
Surfer too.
Cowboy Surfer is Lance Fagan's
Yeah.
place. So you've got a number of those things coming in.
That'll bring the retail shortly
Right,
after that.
that's really.
We used to ask them about the heights.
Right, right.
At least you have HEB over there.
Yeah.
Did you have something else?
HEB over there.
I wanted to share a story.
Sure.
It's a quick story. When I bought
Yeah.
when Mr. Pettit and I bought our house in Santa Fe, New Mexico 6 years ago, worked with a wonderful realtor, have stayed in touch with him, have referred 2 or 3 other people to him who've all bought houses for him. And this summer, we got an opportunity to refinance our house, and I called him and said, they're gonna come, they're financing it out of, someplace outside of Austin, and they're sending somebody here to sign the papers for me, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, I'll come over and sit with you. So he came to my house, he sat with me. It was so wonderful to have him there because 2 or 3 things came up that I didn't know the answers to, but he did. And that's just about being a resource for your clients. It was just, I will continue to refer people that I know who are moving to Santa Fe to him, simply because he gives good customer service, and that was all I wanted to share.
Realtors is the resource after the sale.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the message.
Yeah.
Oh, you were talking at the last meeting about security, additional security in the heights.
I am do what? We've added a 4th constable person that starts actually on the 5th of October. And the October meeting for the Heights Association is safety and security or whatever. There'll be more stuff going on there or whatever. So that's really what I want to say about that. We won't meet next Tuesday. The following Tuesday is predominantly about sales, statistics, numbers again. We're going to have the little videos and the handout so that you have a pretty good understanding. I'm going to try and talk less about the Heights and more about some of these other areas that we'll focus on, more about townhouses. I've given townhouses not quite the attention that they need. We're in the townhouse market now, so we're going to talk about townhouses, we're going to talk about single-family houses, we're going to talk more about Montrose, we're going to talk more about some of these other areas. So it's going to be predominantly numbers and statistics tied to sales and where we're at. So it'll be fairly arduous. Yes, Jim?
And Westview is opening.
Westview is really going to be open in about a week or 10 days. I mean, we have keys. If you don't have a key and you want a key, you can get a key from Paul or whatever. The air conditioning inspection is today, I believe, hopefully, if not. So if we get air conditioning by tomorrow, the electrical is working. By about the end of the week, all the construction phase will be done and we'll just be in the decorating phase. This week, really, Sandra and John are just working on gathering together the furniture and assembling the desk and the chairs and stuff for it to go in by about the weekend. The floors have been done, the walls are painted, the doors are in. It's literally just putting it all together now. So it's going to be open probably by next week. Sandra's really going to, from this point forward, this is what Sandra's working on, 2 weeks of putting it together and then being over there. So The signage will be up probably by the middle of next week. It takes a little bit longer. Any day, it's just waiting on the permit. The sign's ready. When he gets the permit, he just plops it up there one day. So it's basically going to be open. We'll have kind of this soft opening, no big grand announcement until we work on the grand opening on the 30th.
And is New Living gonna do something on the 30th too?
They are. We're doing it in conjunction with New Living. Absolutely. Good question. All right. Anything else? Thank you all very much. There's plenty of breakfast left and